Good morning or afternoon, players, gamers, and critters! I am Master Mimic, and welcome back to another episode of Roaring D20s, my little show where I sit here and talk about all things D&D related. Or should I say, we talk about all things D&D related.
What? Hi guys, it's Little Batty, here to make some weird noises, probably weirder comments, but you know what? I'm here.
So, little Batty and I, we decided to make an occasion out of this because, well, let's admit that I have a lot of experience with D&D, and, I did convert you to it.
Converted.
So, we're going to talk about a topic that I have a little more experience in than she is, but something that we're both very, very interested in. Both of us have all been in games where we've been part of a party that's gone on a few adventures, seen some things, experienced some experiences, and after a while, maybe those characters need to be fleshed out, and as a GM, you might want to center an adventure around a particular character. I know that I've done a few of these.
Mostly, so my first long, lengthy campaign is going to be focused around individual players each season. I don't know.
Adventure,
session. I'm just going to call them seasons because, season 1, season 2, season 3.
Yeah.
To each their own.
It basically, well, when you look at it like a TV show, especially, it's...
Well, for new DMs, it's easy to understand, okay?
It's easy to understand.
Yes.
Don't like, when she, we just, I think we should start with you, because, you're...
So ladies first method, huh? I get it.
Oh, yes, I try to be the gentleman.
Oh, yes, of course. All right. So, the campaign I am running is currently called Misfits of Dawnwood. Oh, yeah. Sound effects? Woohoo! Jesus. I don't know how to start this.
So Misfits of Dawnwood is going to be adapted into a series that we're going to have on Path of Dragons Radio.
Yes.
But, what am I getting? Oh, yeah, but, it started off as a D&D session, and our first adventure was, I guess we could say this if anyone listens to this before Misfits, it's kind of like a, little, like a teaser.
Yeah, an introduction to what is going to be happening, I guess.
Yeah, we had, let's see, there was Nosfell. My characters, Nosfell, the halfling rogue, who was a burglar. Then there was Marvin, a human fighter barbarian. For those who have followed my stunted series, How I Roll, Marvin was the character that I was using as a template for the character creation process. And then there was Balcasaurus's characters, Du Vaku, or we just call him Du, and he is a
leprechaun.
He's a leprechaun druid.
Yeah.
Who eventually became a self-proclaimed eco-terrorist.
Yeah, lovely.
Oh, that poor village.
Yeah. You guys will figure that out later.
Later, yeah. Oh, yeah. Spoilers.
Yeah.
Spoilers for something that's not out yet. What else? Oh yeah, Telewalk, the alligator man or crocodile. What is he an alligator or a crocodile?
I think he's a crocodile. That's something we gotta ask Bacchus again.
Yeah.
It's a gator man. I don't know.
Gator man.
Either way, he's big, scaly, and lovely.
Yeah, I would say probably alligator because I think he lives in a swamp. Wait.
No, but he was just captured. I don't know the deeds. I should know the deeds, but I don't remember the deeds. Right. I have long-term memory loss on my short-term memory, so I don't know. Just kidding, guys. I can remember fine, but what I choose to remember is We're getting off subject. Anyways.
She has selective
memory.
She is a borderline genius in a lot of things, but then there's times where I'll mention an NPC I had a session prior, and she looks at me with that kind of blank cross eyes of a pug.
Well, it's like, did I steal from it? I don't know.
Unless...
Did I marry it? Did I adopt its children? What? I don't know.
Unless my character stole from them or slept with them, I have no interest. Or murdered them.
Yeah. Did I do something to this NPC? No. Was I even in the room? Yes. But, distractions. You can do pizza and chips and candy. I don't know. It's past Christmas. Leave me alone. Anyways, back to topic.
Okay. Alligator Barbarian, Telewalk. I mean, he's not really in the series, but what is the Negotiator's character?
The Negotiator's
the Jackalware.
Oh, the Jackalware. Yeah, that lasted like 2 sessions.
Yeah.
But Delgrog.
But
he left the party for a while, and then the what is...
I don't know. Delgrog.
Yeah, and then he came back and brought himself a new character named Zorthos, who's a tiefling.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. That's why okay, yeah. All right. I knew Negotiator was back in the party.
Yeah, Negotiator just took forever to come back because, life and school and stuff.
Yeah, dude, I'm so sorry. I forgot about Zorthos. Zorthos is like Marvin's bro. So.
Yeah, they instantly hit it off. We also have Forest Spartans characters, Jinx and Emrys.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say Jinx, and I forgot the name of the other elf. Yeah.
Are they both widows? They are, huh?
Yes, because he wanted them to have that kind of kinship because they were both following that matriarch lady that you had.
Yeah, but they come into the story later.
Yeah.
Also, because I am the DM, I decided to put my own character in there because I would like to play my own campaign.
Yeah.
In the form of Jabari, who's pretty much a Shopti, right?
No, No, Vishkanya. Was it Vishkanya?
She was like half-breed both, kind of.
Yeah, she was.
She was gold, but she had the Vishkanya stuff, so...
Yeah.
Whatever you want to take from that. She was very pretty and looked like the girl from The Mummy.
Anuk Sonamun, if people need to remember.
That.
Yeah.
So
kind of like, imagine, if people don't know, shame on you, go see that movie. The old ones with Brandon Fraser, not...
When he was younger and cuter and everything, and he was my husbando back in the day.
Yeah, you can skip Tomb of a Dragon Emperor, but Mummy and Mummy Returns, go see those. The Tom Cruise one didn't exist. I don't even know what I'm talking about. But
what? Talking stuff.
Slipped into insanity.
I know. It's like you went to a parallel universe or something.
So yeah, watch those movies. And Anuk Sonamun is the mummy's girlfriend, the one that murdered the pharaoh. She has that like gold on her skin. Now imagine the black tattoos. Imagine that, but that's the actual skin of the character, and that's essentially what Jabari is.
Yeah.
Okay.
And lastly, we have what would you call it? The MacGuffin kind of character.
The MacGuffin. the escort.
The level 1 kind of escort thing is his name was Alistair. Long names because he was the reason why we needed to get to Dawnwood.
He's the deposed prince. If anyone watched the 2021 announcement video, the deposed prince, and he was really cool. He had one eye
and one arm.
Still held his own when he needed to.
Yeah.
Better than other characters. I won't say which ones, because,
Delgrog. Just kidding.
Just kidding. Negotiator, we love you, please.
Yeah. I tease him because I know he could take it.
Yeah, he could take it. Our first adventure was kind of like the long bonding experience, unfortunately, except for Jinx. Cause,
No. There's more non-bonding people who like to compete. Dew and Nosfell had beef.
Well, I was going to say Jinx doesn't have the time just yet to bond with us, but Nosfell and Dew, they have this kind of rivalry because basically do is wise, but he doesn't necessarily have the smarts. Kind of like he does.
He's a country boy and moved to the city and doesn't know how to act in the city.
Yeah, 300-year-old
300-year-old guy who lives in the woods.
Yeah, freaking hippie who eventually discovered that, hey, if I start letting out animals and them going running amok, it's okay because life will find a way. And Nosfell is not really wise. He's very wise. He's very reckless.
He's very street.
Yeah, but he has a street smart. So he's like the polar opposite. Doesn't really know a thing about like herbs and flowers, but you ask him where he can you can get some good grub, or some alcohol that may not be necessarily allowed on the street. He'll point you in the right direction.
Right.
And so yeah, we were all bonding either positively or negatively, but either way we were bonding. And the little Batty has a plan for seasons 1 season 1 through 8 of basically she
it's gonna be a long ride, people.
Yeah, like obviously because I'm a player, don't say too much.
Well, obviously.
But like maybe give an idea of like what you have planned.
Well, our first, like we just gave you all my character introductions, which is great. So that way, I have something to mostly talk about. But the first season of Misfits of Dawnwood, I'm going to talk about it like a TV show because it's fun, was Alistair's more of a character development story to get everybody together and the reason for everybody to be together. The next one, I'm going to go through the line of all of the characters we just mentioned are going to get a season to themselves or at least a partner to themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And we'd probably stem from there. And I just love character building in general. So as a DM, I kind of like to push through the story. I'm still learning, so my campaigns end up being a little bit on the neutral side. Like, I'm not too action-oriented, and I'm not too story-oriented. Oriented. So my stories seem to have not so many NPCs to remember, but a lot of memorable moments, if that makes sense.
Yeah, the only, I'll be honest with you, the only NPC that I really remember is Wally.
The wonderful wizard.
Wandering
wizard Wally Westfield the Third.
The Third. Which always annoyed me because... Wait, no, I just realized. Because the Roman numeral 3 looks like another W.
Exactly.
Okay, sorry. I take back my previous comment.
Because you were going to ask why there was a third?
Why there was a third, because I'm like, you got all the W's, then you get to a T. But, okay.
Yeah, no, the third, because it's W's.
All right, well, fair enough. Okay, well, I learned something today.
Yeah, guess what, people? I learned something, too, because I didn't really pay attention. Don't you like when those things happen? My subconscious mind loves me.
I know, I should have. You had that look of like, oh, that's right.
I know. The twinkle in my eye. I was like, oh my god, I did something without knowing it. Oh, I love me.
I can see it in your eye. But yeah, there's the Wally.
Yeah, Wally.
And the family and Button, the one that
family and Button, yeah.
Tilly. Wait, is it?
Yeah, Millie, Tilly.
No, yeah, Tilly is the bartender that.
Yeah, the bartender.
The bartender, and Millie is the one that Do is currently dating.
Yeah, Millie is the one that Do is currently dating. Then you got Billy, who's the brother.
The brother.
You got Willie.
My name's Bilford.
The dad. Yeah. And then you got Gilly, who's the mom.
Yeah.
So they all, obviously there's a theme here. And then you got Papa. Who is obviously the grandpa who owns a magic shop and is like I would want to say like the candle maker in like the Book of Life movie.
Oh,
just
God.
like giant.
Yeah, it's giant.
But
I never thought, okay, thanks. I was like...
You're welcome.
No, it was weird because that's how, it's like, okay, I had that image in my head, but I didn't recognize where it was from. It was like seeing a screenshot to a movie, and I was like, oh, yeah, I like that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's not Hagrid like Billy is the size of. He's the candlestick maker from Book of Life.
Where he's like takes up
takes up Moses' stuff, which is why his shop was enchanted. Anyways, you guys will figure that out when I actually tell the story.
Yeah, but we so yeah, it's
It's very fun to do characters in a session, like a story. Then
yeah, I'll say that from a player's perspective,
hey,
what and I'm not just saying this because I'm married to her, but what little Batty does really well yeah, and I mean, can you take the knife away from the throat? I mean, you're kind of cutting.
Aw, stick it somewhere else.
Um, we ooh, okay. We so anyway,
Listeners don't know it doesn't hurt them. Shut up.
it's okay. I'll edit that out in post.
Please do.
But what she does really, really well as a GM is she allows for ample opportunity for role playing between characters. I mean, including a 2-3 hour spat session between Dew and Nosfell. I mean, I'm particularly proud of that because that was a lot of a lot of talking, but then again, it did kind of get a little out of hand. So yeah, kind of you take the good with the bad, but whatever.
Yeah.
So there's plenty of there's a lot of role playing going on. So I'll say in this adventure, just this first quest we had, we were able to essentially understand all of our stories, what we're trying to do, and that gave it essentially would be like we had enough time to develop our characters throughout the session to where Batty can now take our characters and make these individual adventures.
Yeah, it was like a buffer.
It was like a buffer, yeah.
Yeah, which is why I used one of my own NPCs as the first, character developing story.
Yeah. Because, we basically had to get Alistair to Dawnwood safe. And obviously we learned a lot about Alistair. We learned a lot about Jabari, who had a past with Nosfell, so they kind of, so that we didn't really have to develop very much.
Mm-mm.
But, Nosfell learned from Dew learned from Nosfell, we learned from Telewalk and Marvin. We were able to kind of, I know Zorthos came in a little early, a little late.
A little late,
yeah. A little late, sorry.
Like, Delgrog was there for 3 sessions.
Yeah.
Because, he was there.
He was there.
And then he came back towards the end of the series.
Yeah, so I'll say that, so Zorthos, again, I don't know what you're planning to do with him, but I know that...
There's still time by the time I get to his character development.
Yeah, and then and then we have plenty of time for Emerus and maybe Jinx. I don't know where that's going, but... excuse me. Yeah. So I thought that was really good. It was kind of like we had our adventure, and obviously we had little side quests here and there, but always we had time to role play and get to know each other, and ultimately give this one all the notes she needs to build on us. I mean, she has some. I already know some notes that she is taking. I won't mention them on here because I know for a fact Balcasaurus and I think Forest Spartan listens to these. So I'll keep that vague. Yeah. But some cool things are coming, and I'm really excited for it.
Yay.
Let's see. As for me, I have done several character-centralized quests.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to kind of slim things down because, I don't want this to take forever. But, let's see. I did a... okay, because sometimes... I guess you could say our first quest for... Misfits of Dawnwood was centered around Alistair, and learning about him and all that. It was like his story. I'm not really going to talk about NPC-focused stuff because, a lot of people have done the escort quests and all that. This is more about...
You guys were also level, what, 1 or 2?
Yeah, I think we were 2 or 3.
Yeah, so it was like a simple quest for the beginning of the start of the group.
Yeah.
So it's a long trek through.
This will be more of a... because this will be more of like an adventure centered around an actual PC.
Yeah.
Because those can be really hard to do. Because I have a policy as a GM, especially when it comes to character creation, that a GM should not have that much power outside of, what races are allowed, what classes are allowed, whatever, the basic, the construction part of the character, yeah, maybe you might be able to tweak that, but in terms of like backstory, in terms of how, a character got there or whatever, I try to make it so my players know well in advance, a little batty too, of what kind of adventure is going on, what kind of races there are, what kind of, what technology is like. Are we using bows and arrows or crossbows, or, are we using, guns? So we're, we try to like throw that in there. So obviously, that way, what I'm trying to get at is, when you do a player character centralized quest, you kind of have to break that rule a little bit, but it's less because you want to, you're not necessarily trying, like I'll say the key to it, do not retcon anything in the backstory. You can maybe add some details, like, for example, you could say in a character's backstory, they slayed a great nemesis and watched them plunge to the bottom of this ravine, and well, maybe there just happened to be a kindly druid down there who found them. Oh, kind sir, let me bring you back to life. Nemesis killed them and now has been carving his way through the countryside, on his quest for vengeance. Like, stuff like that. Let's see. So yeah, no retconning. Unless it's in favor to the story. I mean, I don't like it. I guess you could also say it depends on the kind of party you have or the kind of people you're playing with, because I've played with people who might not necessarily like having that person back to life, but unless it fits into the story or it makes for a great, player moment.
Right.
I'm trying to see. Like, for example, Little Batty. Towards the end of the adventure, you introduced characters that were tied with Marvin's backstory.
Right.
And they weren't. It wasn't like it wasn't the guys that he was looking for. It was people who were related to them.
Yeah.
So I didn't know that was coming, but when you described it, it made me happy, because that didn't restrict me. It in fact gave me, like, it added to that story, gave it a little bit more detail. So I will use a couple adventures here, the most recent ones, I'm sure
Right.
Little Batty knows, and also so that, you have something to talk about too.
Because he wants me to talk more. See what happens, guys? Seriously.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I run an evil campaign
Woo!
that I've been running for a while. Like, I want to say about maybe 3 years going.
Yeah, probably about that.
Yeah, about 3 years. Where basically you had a group of, I would say, ne'er-do-wells who basically are working with an enigmatic person named the Benefactor, and in return for helping them with their respective goals and dreams, they basically work with him. If he says kill this person, they kill that person. If he says disrupt this government, they disrupt that government. It is by far one of my favorite sessions. It's also my longest running campaign I've ever done.
Yay.
So I had the first adventure, which I guess I could say it was kind of technically like a series of, like, because first there was you guys taking over the Inquisition prison.
Oh yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, that was like, that alone could have just been a single quest.
A single quest, yeah.
Then you guys had to get the crown, and that's when you met Gunmar.
Oh, wow. I forgot.
And yeah, I know. The Elden days, or the days of old.
The golden days when I could still be killed with one shot.
Back when Back when a semi-competent bandit leader was an actual threat to you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Blood Rager level 13. Look it up.
Oh, GM's worst nightmare. Then let's see. Let's see. So yeah, there was that, and then then right after that was when you guys had that contract put on you. You guys had to fight the Bloodsworn assassins. And
where was Viazan in that?
Viazan? She was
before Gunmar or after?
She was before Gunmar, because she was right before you. Yeah, she was right before you guys got to Saldanis.
Oh, okay.
Got
it.
So Little Batty's character is she's kind of a homebrew, but I guess at this point she is.
At this point she is. Yeah. I mean, changelings are a thing.
Yeah. We if I haven't mentioned it before, I could have sworn I mentioned it in past episodes, but we use the Pathfinder system for our games. And don't worry, we will go to Dungeons and Dragons eventually. Love. Yeah. I mean, I think I even have the beginner set somewhere. Anyways, so in Pathfinder there is a race called changelings, which are the children of hags and just regular average Joes who tend to die soon after.
Yeah.
So her character, I'll let you introduce her.
Oh, my character is a dark changeling born of an Annis hag.
Annis hag. It's a very dangerous word to say.
Very dangerous. I know. Oh, Agnes?
Agnes?
I've
heard people say anus, so.
Oh, well, I was far from that one. I wasn't even thinking about that. Thanks a lot. She's very tall. I don't remember how tall she is at the moment because I don't have her character sheet in front of me. But, she's got some magic ability, but I have her as a Blood Rager, so she could still technically kick some butt.
Yeah, Blood Ragers, for those who don't know, are basically barbarians who have the ability to buff themselves.
Yes.
I've played one before in the past, Asher,
mm-hmm.
and it was so fun.
Yeah.
So, do you want to say her backstory? Or
go, how far backstory?
Well, I'm going to talk about the adventure centered around her.
Oh, okay. So what happens, I did more, I homebrewed, attached some things to it, to where she's the dark changeling of an Annis hag, like we said. But what happens when the hag dies, the Annis hag specifically, they try and take over their daughters' bodies. So that way they could live forever, technically. So they end up breaking their daughter's soul to take over all that stuff. So that's kind of how it goes throughout the generations. Zloba, however, has a will of iron, apparently, is able to keep her mom at bay for the most part. So her goal in this whole thing was to get rid of her mother. So she doesn't have more voices in her head trying to take over her own life.
Mm-hmm. So I basically what I did with this is that I wanted the second adventure to be centered around especially Zaloba, given that you had the most time sensitive of it's essentially like a form of I
had the possession.
It was like soul cancer or something.
Yeah, I like I said, horror campaigns. So when I got
the Horror Adventures Guide.
Yeah, the Horror Adventures Guide, I instantly put the possessed aspect on Zaloba as a thing to do. Mm-hmm. So she had to take that off of her, or else she'd get certain times a day the soul that's possessing her could take over her body.
Mm-hmm.
Thankfully, I always rolled high enough for that not to happen, because man, that mom wants to take over.
Yeah, because it was bad, because when she took over, she often would try to, because everything Zaloba did was to, her detriment. So she would try to sabotage it, and usually it would be like, they were about to reach that threshold of how she could turn this around, and then usually the mother would be able to take over around that, or would try to take over around there to try and, mess things up.
Yeah.
But, yeah, you kind of bump that wisdom pretty high.
I had to. As much as I loved my handicap, I hated my handicap.
You hated the handicap, yeah. So when I did the second adventure, this is what I mean by not necessarily retconning someone's story, more like expanding on it, because the idea of the mother hag possessing the changeling daughter, I decided to, when I expanded on that, I decided that it was actually a coven of witches that gathered together, and they called upon a demon lord named Carnegie that granted them their immortality, but obviously it's a demon, so what a demon wants is a steady supply of souls. So granting immortality to these group of women would be kind of counterintuitive. So from there, these witches became the first Annis hags, and they started having daughters. And these daughters would then be possessed by their mothers, as we said.
Upon their deaths.
Upon their deaths. And the daughter's soul would be fed to the entity that rules, basically, the Inferno. That's our universe's interpretation of hell. The Abyss, or whatever, Dungeons and Dragons, or whatever they call it in the Plains guides, but whatever. So therefore, it became a lot bigger, this idea of it wasn't necessarily something as simple as she goes over to a half decent priest and gets exorcised.
Yeah, too easy.
So instead, I was like, what if I literally have to send them to hell to fight this guy? And that turned into the second adventure. They go to the Inferno, and I'll admit, the freaking tidal wave of NPCs I threw on you, but you guys did really good for that.
I have most of them written down on a long sheet of paper.
Yeah, but yeah, so all kinds of stuff happened in the Inferno. Not just because they destroyed Carnegie, they fought an aspect of Tiamat, the Dragon Queen. They fought, no, you didn't fight. No, you allied with the Son of Death. Was it De Prospero?
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of seven.
One of seven. Yeah, one of seven sons of death, and and your serial killer companion, your NPC, turned into the devil. I won't go too much into detail, but let's just say that was a long time coming.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, they defeated Carnegie, but this was the moment where I had to make this quest count. It couldn't just be, especially with all the stuff you go through. Any GM, you want to reward your players. You don't want them to scour through a dungeon that takes them freaking 4 months to get through, and they get, oh, great, you get a chest with 2 magic items and, Too gold to play. Yeah, exactly, where it's just, so I wanted something, not just in terms of rewarding them, with material wealth, but also give them some really good role-playing opportunities. And this is another one of those things I love about character-centralized quests, is that not only are you able to kind of expand on their story, but you can also do things that will make them, legendary. Because I described that if Carnegie dies, everyone who's ever made a pact with him, which at this point there are many, many Annis hags in the world now, thousands. Anyone who made an actual deal with him, their soul also becomes forfeit, and they are, destroyed as well. So essentially, any changeling.
Keep in mind, guys, it's an evil campaign. Okay, just warning you. Go ahead.
Let's just put that real big. Evil campaign.
Disclaimer: evil campaign. Do not judge.
So any dark changeling that was possessed, or just an Annis hag who hadn't yet possessed the daughter, the moment Zaloba killed Carnegie, they died. So in an instant, she basically Thanos'd them to death, where these people just erupted into flames and died.
1.5 snaps, people.
1.5 snaps. So, a whole ton of just, like, in an instant, Zaloba had almost wiped out her entire race.
Yeah.
Much to her delight.
I know. She was happy about that. That was a feat.
Now, so, but one of
killer.
Kin Killer, yeah. So one of the things that, because something that Batty was talking about with Dark Changelings is when they see each other, they are compelled to destroy each other. Like, nothing on Earth will keep them apart.
No, yeah. It's one of those, like, dang. Here we go.
Yeah, to walk into a room, one has to walk out.
Yeah.
But because of this, because Carnegie was killed, this effect was gone as well, this curse. So now Zaloba has made it a point of finding all the changelings.
The remaining dark changelings.
And basically...
Granted, she didn't kill all the changeling race, just the dark ones.
Yeah. The disclaimer.
Disclaimer that too, because... That's a lot of changelings.
Yeah, so she's trying to ground up the dark changelings to use as, like, a personal army or something.
Yup.
And, granted, that some of them are either infants or children, so that will be interesting.
They're being raised. But, Zaloba became the mother of nations.
He became a kin killer and a kin carer.
Yeah. The most motherly sort you would ever want in an evil campaign.
I don't know. I think it'd be pretty badass if my mom was
the heathen queen.
The heathen queen who killed a demon lord.
I feel like Daenerys Targaryen having so many names written on Zaloba.
Without the abrupt character shift.
Yeah, no, my character's not going to go straight to a good alignment. Thank you very much. She's evil.
Evil.
Yeah.
She, but so that's an example of how I imagine a good character-centralized story can go. I mean, again, I don't want to sound like I'm, stroking my own ego here, but that is kind of like what you want for an adventure like that. You don't want to feel like you're taking a character's story away from them. You're simply taking the building blocks they gave you and you're applying that. You're expanding on that universe. You want to do like what The Mandalorian did, where you take elements of the original Star Wars series and then you just expand on those, but in subtle ways. I'm not going to go into this, but
don't ignore the other characters. Obviously,
do not ignore the other characters.
They're more assets in the story. Like, yeah, you're centralizing on one character, but let's say that character is going to go blow up a building. Hey, we're going to viewpoint that one while, we're still working on that. It's not a horrible thing.
No. Like, for example, Balcasaurus' character, he is a undead werebear barbarian. He was, I guess we could say he was friends with... Gwen, the serial killer.
Yeah.
But he and Gwen were basically, they walked...
He wasn't undead. He'd be more than friends. Just saying.
Yeah. Seriously.
Brown chicken, brown cow.
I don't want to think about that. If this gets big, I don't want to see that fan art.
Brown chicken, brown cow. Yeah.
So
think about it.
It's there. Do it. Get in that brain.
Get in there.
Let it fester. So, basically, so these two were like walking hand in hand. She was a serial killer who loved killing, and eventually she became a vampire, much to his chagrin. So basically, she would drain them of blood, and then he would eat the bodies. So that's how they yeah. So what happened was, while Zaloba was doing this very personal story, on the other hand, you had his character who was trying to basically find, like, he wanted to become a man. He didn't want to be a monster anymore. So he, excuse me. So, thank you. So he was constantly like butting heads with Gwen because while he wanted to maybe not be cured, but he just wanted to be better. He wanted to. I long to be lawful good. Meanwhile, Gwen lavished in being an evil killer. She didn't want to be cured at all. So there was this constant tug of war between them, and eventually that escalated, and
say the least.
to say the least. And it was eventually got down to this, like the conclusion of that story was Gwen made certain deals with extremely powerful entities because she felt as if she wasn't being satisfied.
She wasn't being loved.
She wasn't being loved.
For who she was.
Because the entire party at this point was either one, sick of her crap, or two, your goals did not align with hers. Mm-hmm. Or three, you were just completely indifferent to her. It was fine.
Mostly indifferent.
So she eventually was, she started listening in, and you're in the Inferno. You're surrounded by infernal powers who are going to do whatever they can to use you. And well, she became very susceptible to that. So eventually, these deals she made, she had this scheme going on the entire game. And eventually, she ascended to essentially becoming a god. And by basically forfeiting the souls of everybody within her home city. By the way, she was the daughter of a very powerful duke. So that was a lot of people. Yeah. Burst into flames. Yep. And and that was that story. I know it sounds a little bit like it was more of a Gwen's story, but the whole time Balcasaurus' character was trying his darndest to, get her to see the humanity, and she just wasn't looking for that.
Right. And it was the story for Zaloba was the main thing. Yeah. But it was nice to have more things going on other than like we're strictly focusing on Zaloba.
Yeah, because you don't want the players. I think that's the most important aspect. Second only to the don't retcon a story thing. Yeah. You don't want players feeling like the side characters or the supporting cast.
Or like they don't matter.
Because this story that's building, it's integral to this guy's story, but their roles need to be expanded. Their own personal stories need to also be added to. So, essentially, Balcasaurus' character saw what happens when one gives in fully to being a monster. And that actually led to some really awesome role-playing opportunities later down the line. Mm-hmm. Zaloba was able to ascend far higher than anyone before her. And now she has all this power. It's kind of like, well, where does she go with it? Then Negotiator's character, he is a gunslinger who was part of a worldwide tournament to see who was the greatest marksman, in the world. One of the rivals he met was a woman named Zenith, who had connections to the Inferno, particularly with a demon that gave her specialized guns and abilities that were just making things very uncomfortable for him. Yeah. So this wasn't really it wasn't that big of a story, only because Negotiator again couldn't really be there the whole time. But when he did, his character found a demon that she had made a deal with and had actually convinced it to relinquish that deal. Instead, I think he started a contract with him too. Yeah. With her. The demon, not Zenith.
Yeah, which kind of...
That was fun. That's fun. And so, and obviously there's, little things like...
Zaloba found her true love.
Zaloba found her true love in the form of an incubus demon prince named Abaddon. This was also the first adventure where we introduced Zaloba's little sycophant, Nitzia.
Oh yeah,
the Medusa.
I love her.
Nitzia was like, I'll say, this was on me as a GM, but obviously her character class wasn't well suited for the Inferno, so she died a couple of times.
Yeah, being a magic caster and then the demons having high magic resistance, I had to roll nat 20s. But she got
Yeah,
She did very good for political intrigue.
yeah, you essentially Nitzia died, but she got better.
Didn't she die twice?
She died twice,
Yeah.
but she got better.
She got better. Yeah.
And then she ended up being the one who defeated the aspect of Tiamat, which I thought was actually a very good way to wrap up her story.
Yeah.
Of like, darn it, I
am useful.
I am useful.
Not for lack of trying, by the way. I didn't give up on her.
No, I mean, that was like, honestly, I mean, I've had to retire characters from games before because I felt like they were, they weren't being useful, but Nitzia's, not only did she stick around, but now in the current adventure, she's even better. You know?
She's even more of a force now, so it works out.
And
Yay.
and that was like, that's one aspect of a character, like I said, character centralized. You want the characters of the rest of the party to feel important. I mean, I think like now in our current adventure, this one is more, or it was, the first half of it was centered around Balcasaurus's character. Basically, he had learned that his homeland was being afflicted by an undead plague, and because he himself is undead, he's thinking, oh, geez, I need to go and stop this and redeem myself. So this was very much surrounding his character. He found aspects of his past. He found out what his real name was, which was Sven. He found his family, his distant family, the descendants of his original
daughter.
family.
Got to make amends with his wife ish, his dead wife.
Yeah, his dead wife who had become a banshee. They had to defeat her.
Saw the family crypts and
etc. But this is another great moment because, well, again, it was easy because, once again, Negotiator's character took a hiatus.
Yeah.
So I kind of, dismissed him throughout most of this part. But with Zaloba, for example, I was like, okay, what is Zaloba going to get from this? Because this is very much we're just making sure Sven finds his happy place, his happy ending. And, So in this aspect, Zaloba was met with the necromancer responsible not just for the undead plague, but she was also the same entity, the necromancer, that created Sven, like killed him and brought him back. So there's automatically this kind of there was like friction there. Because Zaloba wanted to ally with her because she was so powerful, but Sven wanted nothing to do with her because she's the one responsible for not just his plight but the plight of his people. And then we throw in an adversary who was hunting Sven because of he was the father of two undead hunters that these guys. Or no, Sven had killed one of them in his backstory. And then his brother came looking for revenge during the events of the first adventure. And he was killed and then subsequently nommed by Sven to death.
Yeah.
So what this did is that this unleashed the wrath of their father, who has been described as the greatest undead hunter in the world.
Yeah.
And now he is after Sven. But the problem is, he's also infinitely more intelligent and a lot more resourceful.
And patient.
So, not only do I expand on the backstory of Sven, but I also am giving, more of an introduction to future stuff that he'll have to face. It was also during this story where we're introduced to, this is when Forrest Spartan first joined our sessions. He was playing a tiefling named Markria, who was... is playing.
Yeah.
She is the daughter of a demon lord who specializes in fate, named Bashaba. And Bashaba sent Markria from the Inferno. She was born in the Inferno, by the way, to the mortal realm with the purpose of killing her father, who was responsible for betraying Bashaba and ultimately going back on a deal to manifest her in the mortal realm. And she was tasked with finding him, killing him, and then finding a way for Bashaba to manifest in the mortal realm.
Bashaba is a doting mother. I'll just put that
Bashaba is a very doting mother.
Jesus.
And eventually, but this is where things get a little bit complicated, because eventually she found out that her father was one of the most powerful entities in the realm, a character simply known as the Emperor. The Emperor is basically that holier-than-thou demigod who walks among men, and she is descended from him. And so in order to, accomplish Bashaba's, her wishes, she needs to destroy the Emperor. And it just so happened that because of the infamy growing from Zaloba and Sven and Negotiator's character, you guys eventually got enough notoriety to where he placed a 100 platinum bounty on your heads. So every assassin, every bounty hunter, every would-be adventurer with an inkling of foolishness or courage is going to be gunning for you. But not only that,
it's not all, folks.
But Markria, this was actually completely by accident too. Markria ended up killing a servant of a djinn, which is, in this interpretation, is a special devil that specializes in wish making. So she killed the servant of a djinn and tried to give its soul to Bashaba. Now, infernal politics state that if a demon lord's servant is killed, mortal or no, they are entitled to that soul. That's just demonic economics. So this basically ended up with her receiving a bounty purely out of malice, not out of revenge. How dare you? But this djinn placed a bounty on Markria's head that stated that anyone who killed Markria and gave her soul to this djinn would be given one wish, completely free. No strings attached. No mincing words. You want $100, she knows exactly what you want. You get him $100. So that's the way it is. So that is a way that because I guess in this point now we kind of went from making it Sven's story to now it's kind of more of a Markria's story.
Yeah, it kind of ventured that way because Sven's story was the way we kind of sped through it because, Vondersoul. Well, Sven's story was very, Sven liked to rush things.
Yeah.
I'll just say that. It could have lasted a lot longer and gotten to the peak of where it needed to be, but kind of conquered that and then Markria.
It was
easy to transition, though, so it's kind of like this season is both of their stories.
Yeah. It was like, I would say it's like when you play a video game and you just go right through the main story quest. You don't do any of the side stories, any of the flavor text.
Yeah.
You just want to get to the end of the story. That's kind of how it was.
Yeah.
I'd be like, all right, guys, you got to go to this location to meet this guy. No. I'm going to go to this guy because I heard he knows something. It's like, oh,
there's wants to stop and see Preston.
Yeah, and yeah, yeah, exactly. I'm going, oh, okay, well, yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, you just finished freeing a settlement or helping a settlement. I'm just gonna go right back to Preston and get another one instead of helping this person. Please, help me. And it's like,
nope,
nope. I need to go free another settlement.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Balcasaurus. We're not crapping on you or anything. It's just you loved just going from point A to point B and skipping 3 chapters worth of dialogue and stuff. But that's fine. That's the plight of the GM.
He's not salty at all.
Not salty at all. Nope. I mean,
cry. Just kidding. You made the GM cry. Those are salty tears.
Salty tears.
Save it for the ocean.
Save it for the ocean.
Thank you.
What are you doing?
What are you doing?
You got seawater in your eyes. But yeah,
Gross.
so yeah, right. Ew, yeah. Oh, fish pee in me tears.
Fish peeing you
Fish pee.
all day.
All day.
Right.
So we but
yeah.
so that's like that's what I mean. It's kind of like but Markria's story isn't just about her. It's also because I'm making the Emperor an enemy of everybody.
Yeah.
There's more of a drive there of now Zaloba's going, hey, I'm a kin killer, I'm a kin carer, I'm the heathen queen, and heck, I might be able to slay a demigod,
Yeah.
I mean, you slayed a demon lord, why not, take that next
route.
step? Yeah. So you gotta go down that route. And Sven is trying to create a kind of like a paladin order / undead rehabilitation center.
It's an undead paladin order. Let's get it right. It's like that.
it's.
We are good undead people.
We are good.
Fish are friends, not food.
Yeah. If there's any Twilight fans out there, essentially he wants to make them all vegetarians.
Yeah.
So,
we do a lot of movie references and stuff.
We do a
I
lot
apologize,
of
but
movie
you know
references.
what? I love movies, so kiss it.
That's fine. So yeah, it's so that's kind of like the way that you want to go about it. If you want to do an adventure based off of an actual player character, first, at least have enough in your notes to know that whatever you're doing isn't going to be something that maybe not alienates them, but something that,
puts them on the back burners.
Yeah, that puts them on the back burners.
You don't want them to feel like they are the NPCs of the realm.
No.
Yeah, you want them.
You don't want them. Yeah, you don't want them feeling like a Bethesda companion just kind of running behind you and fighting when you initiate something.
Yeah.
Give them their own stories. For the actual subject of the quest, don't retcon. Always add to it, but also keep in mind what their character wants and what their character would like. So, like I said,
my character wants a cupcake. Don't give it a lollipop.
Exactly. Yeah. Like Zloba would have been happy just killing Carnegie, and okay, cool.
Yeah.
I'm not possessed anymore. But there was that extra layer of you would also be wiping out, most of your race.
Yeah. And consequences are a really good thing to put in your game.
Exactly. And I mean, granted, you didn't really see that as a consequence. But,
no.
But
if you had a moral compass, that would have been it. But evil campaign is evil campaign.
Yeah. If anything, I say the consequence to the biggest consequence was Sven's story, because Gwen is now the devil.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean. During Sven's story, because he rushed through the main story arc to find out who he is, find out who his family was, he neglected the undead plague that was, consuming his country. And so when the big final battle came, he was more preoccupied. Basically, it was at that point of there was no turning the tide. It was simply get the family out and try to keep the undead from devouring it. Granted, Zaloba at this point had made allies with the Necromancer.
Yeah.
So she was fine, but because she had allied with him, or with her, she became even more notorious, something that would gain the attention of the Emperor.
Yep.
So everything you want to do, you want to make it so that not only do you make things interesting, like in terms of giving them rewards, but you also like she was saying, if they want a cupcake, don't give them a lollipop. Add more story elements. Your players are always going to be
sprinkles.
with sprinkles. Yeah, your players. Zaloba is going to eat that cupcake and be satisfied, but eventually she's going to say, well, okay, well, when am I going to get, my next cupcake? So your players, especially if you have as amazing of a group as I do, they will always be looking forward to what you're going to do in Chapter 2. So basically, know the character you're basing the quest off of.
Know your
2,
players.
yeah, and 2, make sure you find something for the other players to do. Mm-hmm. And ultimately, just make sure that I think this one will also be important. Don't make this feel like an isolated incident. Let it lead into something, like you were saying. Sven's story led into Margria's.
Yeah, it pretty much enhanced it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I guess a fourth note is have fun with it.
Yeah, just
take notes on what you really like and advance it. If you're gonna do like a chapter 3 of whatever you're doing, have the consequences still be in the story. Oh, there's still undead there, or now the lands are infertile because of a plague that took over the place, or just stuff like that. Have fun.
Yeah, it's because maybe the players will understand. Like when I was doing the introductions to Zaloba's story, to Sven's story, I made sure everyone knew ahead of time this adventure is going to center around them, not and
surprise.
Yeah, not by the way, this is your story now,
Mm-hmm.
And thankfully I didn't really need to do that with Margaret because it just kind of naturally flowed into it. So because like we've been saying, sometimes player-centralized quests, ventures, seasons can lead into enhancing your campaign in ways that maybe you as the GM didn't expect. I'm not as a GM for I've been a GM for over 10 years, and these guys still make decisions and still make they make alliances I wasn't expecting. They betray people when I don't expect it, but when you have a story centered around one of them, that's when things get really interesting, because sometimes that's what you don't expect is that what makes it so fun. I expected, hey, they were going to, face down the Demon Lord Carnegie and free Zaloba. I didn't expect her to fall in love with the rebel leader, Abaddon. I didn't expect Gwen to turn into the devil. It just kind of happened. Mm-hmm. So I think that's the most important one, though. Just have fun with it. Everyone, if your players are just the most amazing people in the world, they're gonna just be ecstatic with expanding on this, because that also can help bring the party together in a deeper way. These guys are not only fighting alongside you, they're now helping one of their own accomplish a major goal, because now Sven and Negotiator's character and Nitzia, they're not just party members. They helped you get your freedom. Mm-hmm. Sven, Zaloba is not just his keeper and whatnot. Now Zaloba is the person who helped save his family. So it's just have fun with it. So that's really all we really needed to say, huh? Yeah. I will be having her in a little bit more, a few more episodes, because I love having her here.
He just loves me, so
I love her so much. So I'll just say I hope this was informative. I hope you all had fun, and we'll see you all next time. You all have a good one, everybody.
bye.